All right, keep going.
All right. So one of your questions, and again, it's one of my main questions when I heard
Okay.
the idea of $1,000 a month, the border. So is it $1,000 a month for everybody on the planet who gets to come to the country, or $1,000 a month for citizens?
Because he's going to be forced. He's going to be forced in order to make this at all swallowable for anybody. Anybody that knows any sort of common sense. Whatever shred of common sense is left in the American body politic, whatever you want to call it, is going to say, if you say you can get 1,000 free dollars, US dollars, for just being here, then the world will beg, borrow, or steal their way here. Okay.
I would argue that a lot of people who sneak in here illegally already probably get more than $1,000 a month.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. But I mean, if all of a sudden it got out that was the freebie, $1,000 a month, forget it. I mean, I lived in Argentina, and people that were just living off of $300 a month from their husband's Social Security checks were living like kings down there with the dollar to peso exchange. So,
here he goes. Ready? As president, I will.
Okay.
Increase funding to secure our landed ports of entry where most drugs enter the United States. Increase funding to our customs enforcement teams that are tasked with preventing human trafficking both into and out of the U.S.
He's going to increase funding to ICE. The Democrats are going to Kamala Harris is talking about dissolving ICE. And here he is saying, I want to augment ICE.
Increase funding. Yeah. So that's number 3. Invest in technologies such as ground and aerial sensors, video towers to allow for efficient and effective means of monitoring stretches of the U.S.-Mexico border that are rarely crossed but still provide means of entering the U.S. Provide body cameras for all agents along the U.S.-Mexico border. I'm not sure that would help. Invest heavily in protecting and renewing the Rio Grande, which serves as a natural boundary and is currently ecologically struggling. I think he wants a moat, basically, around Texas. Provide all resources necessary to allow our asylum court system to function properly, lowering the backlog of cases and thus removing one of the prime reasons why we've seen caravans increasing in size and frequency, addressing the caravans. And finally, work with the Mexican government on all these initiatives as well as anti-cartel initiatives to ensure a positive relationship that allows both countries to serve the needs of their citizens. So this is not
right now
Bernie
he's
Sanders border
super
plan.
Trumpy.
Exactly. I mean, shy of a wall and ground sensors and video towers sounds like.
To be honest with you, this actually sounds like a better immigration plan than the wall does.
It does?
Because I don't have a lot of faith in just a plain old wall as much as I do these drones flying around the skies with infrared sensors. Let me tell you, you can dig underneath a wall and not get found like El Chapo used in order to escape from prison. Whereas I'm thinking you put down seismic sensors that can measure people chipping away a rock underneath the ground, and you put an aerial drone in the sky. I don't need to build a $10 million stretch of, quarter-mile stretch because it's government money. That they're not going to be doing this efficiently. With those drones in the air and those seismic sensors in the ground, I'll do much better than any fence. And then at least I won't be worried about genetically isolating the turtle, the fox, and all these other animal populations from each other. Because we actually have had that problem in California, genetically isolating populations of, for example, mountain lions and so on and so forth, because of walls, fences, and freeways that we built. So this actually honestly sounds like a better immigration plan to me than the rudimentary, I think what people would generally consider to be the Trumpian build the wall, build the wall, build the wall. This seems a little bit more holistic.
Well, also,
however, how on earth will this guy ever be able to get through the DNC suggesting that we augment ICE? He might as well just say, I want to join the Border Patrol.
Also, I mean, one of the big things in the Democratic Party right now is promising reparations. Again, the communities that would not receive the Freedom Dividend are communities already receiving large amounts of welfare, which are primarily Hispanic and Black communities. So that's not going to work for them. However, I'm going to read to you his 6 goals for the border and tell me who this sounds like.
Okay.
Safeguard Americans. Decrease the number of people entering the country illegally. Protect victims of trafficking. Stop the flow of illegal drugs from Mexico into the U.S. Prevent cartel violence from affecting America and provide a humane experience for those seeking asylum. Who does that sound like?
That sounds like the talking points that the speechwriter for Donald Trump wrote before he put it into his football coach vernacular. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that literally sounds just like a rally that you would hear in El Paso, Texas, to a stadium full of Trump people. That's not to besmirch Trump in his style. I mean, he gives a real barn burner, man.
He's president.
but that just sounds like the more academic version of a Trump speech.
I mean, and once again, here's him referencing the problems.
I just realized stump speech and Trump speech rhyme.
In a way.
We might have to start a thing. We'll try that, Cody.
I don't know if you want to rhyme stump and Trump, but we can work on it.
Okay.
And just really quickly, these are what he lists as problems to be solved at the border. We're kind of working backwards here. This is the one that stuck out to me. Ineffective solutions have become the only solutions that are being discussed with any level of specificity.
So true.
Our asylum system is flooded with cases, resulting in people being enticed to come to the U.S. and ask for asylum so they can stay here for years before the case even comes up.
Yeah, they've totally figured out. I have friends. Anybody that has friends that work for the State Department know that the excuse that you have to interview with an ambassador before you can get a visa to come to the United States of America. And one of my friends was an ambassador in a country that will remain nameless. You can't go and harass him online. But he did say that there was kind of this sob story from a family that needed a certain type of medical procedure done for their grandmother that allowed them to get entrance in the United States of America. And so he signed the paper, granted them the visa, so on and so forth. They're allowed to go to America. And he said the next week he heard 20 of those exact same sob stories needing that exact same specific, visa exception voucher to make it to the United States of America. And he knew that, the word got out in the community that this works. Say this line and that works.
I hear it, man. And then just again, another one of the things he brings up, cartels and individuals trafficking drugs and humans into and out of the U.S. is an issue. Okay. Illegal immigration is risky for those who engage in it, and it hurts those who are trying to immigrate legally. Once again, that sounds exactly like a Trump campaign slogan. Okay. And large numbers of people are entering the United States illegally, causing economic hardship in certain areas while also preventing us from knowing who exactly is in our country. Again, this sounds exactly like what Donald Trump was saying 2 years ago.
It's like, but see, now I just think if we elect Andrew Yang, this is what's going to happen. He's going to be impotent. He's not going to be able to enact this because he will have pissed off all the Democrats along the way by being too conservative. He'll have pissed off all of the conservatives along the way by suggesting literally unabashed and unadulterated socialism/communism.
And don't even get started on the Second Amendment. He's not a big 2A guy.
Yeah. He's not a big Second Amendment guy.
He doesn't want to repeal it. But
let's just say we elected him. Let's just say he elected him. He's dead on arrival. He's not going to be able to do anything.
Okay, but the argument that I'm hearing a lot online.
By the way, by saying dead on arrival before you start blogging, no, I was not suggesting any violence upon a candidate. I was merely referencing the colloquial term of not being viable.
I wouldn't allow it. I will not allow. However, I would say the argument, the pushback, is someone else who didn't fulfill any of their promises because they were quote unquote dead on arrival as President Trump.
Oh, he fulfilled tons of promises. He got rid of the Johnson Amendment.
Okay. I mean, we were talking the other night. He
only needs to bat 250 to be better than every president I remember in my lifetime. And Donald Trump has fulfilled at least a quarter of his campaign promises, which is wildly better than every president I remember.
It is, but let's say Andrew Yang bats 200, but you get $1,000 a month.
There's the argument right there.
It's tough to turn that down, man.
Before hyperinflation catches up and the $1,000
if you want, I'll talk your ear off about his plan on inflation. Andrew Yang, when he talks about inflation, because people obviously bring up, which is going to cause inflation, people just increase rent by $1,000 a month, which is really weird to me.
No, that's so true. Why not? Honestly, if you're a slumlord, if you're a slumlord and all of a sudden all of these. And I mean, I don't want to say losers because there's plenty of people that aren't losers in there. You know what I'm saying? But if every person that makes, I say loser because actually I know a guy who manages an apartment complex outside of CSUN that is completely just kids that are wasting FAFSA money to pay for apartments that they can just party in, and they never go to class, they never go to school, and for the next 6 years, they're going to be able to live the life just accruing debt that's just going to be hyperinflated and pardoned anyway.
Well, guess who else I believe wouldn't be eligible for the $1,000 a month? People receiving more than that from the government for FAFSA.
Okay. Wow, you're a big fan of this guy, aren't you?
I'm a big fan of his other policies we haven't talked about yet. However, the idea of wouldn't this cause rampant inflation? Federal government recently printed $4 trillion for the bank bailouts in its quantitative easing program with no inflation. Our
Okay.
plan for universal basic income uses mostly money already in the economy. In
Okay.
monetary and economics, leading theory states that inflation is based on changes in the supply of money. Our
Okay.
UBI plan has minimal changes in the supply of money because it's funded by a value-added tax. It's likely that some companies will increase the prices in response, people having more buying power.
They would have to. Like, why wouldn't a slumlord just raise his rent $500 a month? Like, you know how I mentioned that apartment complex staffed by, wannabe college kids losers? If I was the slumlord that ran that slummy apartment complex, I would just say, hey, now that I know that you all are getting $1,000 more, boom, your rent just went from $1,500 a month to $2,000, and I know you can pay it because you were paying.
Again, those people who are taking money from the government don't get that $1,000.
No, well, does student loans count?
That would be to hash out. Even then, though, I would also say if all of a sudden a bunch of people increase the housing prices for students by something insane, like your $1,100 a month rent's now $2,000, I would say when the government's footing the bill, they'll intervene.
Okay,
I don't like it, but
okay.
I'm for the government saying, hey, you guys don't get to triple people's rents, double people's rents because you think they have more money. Remember, some of these people, maybe they're on FAFSA, and maybe they also get let's say $250 a month in food stamps, another a couple $100 a month to help with the rent. Their money's not going up. It's
Okay.
not. They're not getting any more. So the idea being, a lot of the concerns for where inflation would come from, that money's already circulating in the system, and probably a lot of people are going to give up $200, $300 a month to get $1,000 in cash.
Okay, this sounds really, really, really complex. Andrew Yang, you are invited to come on the show and explain this. Please, just demystify this for me.
All right, I think so. we can go for hours, but those are obviously the two big things with his platform. He's giving everyone $1,000 a month. That's a pretty radical move. And then the first question, of course, is what about the border? I have to admit, this is the first time I went through his border policy point by point, and I almost like his border policy better than Trump. Instead of saying Mexico's going to just pay for it, he's saying we're going to work with Mexico, and we're going to basically say, we're going to clean these cartels out because I don't want my country either, and you're going to help us do it because you don't want them in your country.
Did you clean the cartels out, and I'll vote for you any day.
That-
Those people are evil.
That's my point being exactly that he's...
That's half the reason why I think that, just the legalization of marijuana is so on the table. Never done it in my life. Don't care to start the habit. But at the end of the day, we waste so much manpower chasing after marijuana, which does less damage to society than the legalized alcohol we've consumed since 1776. And if we could put that manpower that graduated out of the DEA going after marijuana, going after these cartels, they literally, I mean, I was reading the stats, like over 80% of the women that cross the border have been raped by the cartels and the human traffickers that got them there.
Oh, sorry,
and I've been on construction sites where guys from Ecuador have showed me pictures that the cartel has taken with their family that, look like, oh, just here with your abuela, but that's the local mafioso reminding this guy who's working construction in Southern California that, oh yeah, you still owe us $5,000. Yeah, that $5,000 just came to $10,000 because you're late. Pay it up, or else we kill grandma.
Yeah, I mean,
These people are vicious.
We can go 5 hours on this. One last thing, you brought it up. As president, I will support the full legalization of marijuana at the federal level and remove it from the controlled substances list.
Yes!
I will expunge the federal convictions of all marijuana-related use of possession offenses and identify nonviolent drug offenders for probation and potential early release.
Okay, so hold on a second. In our last 30 seconds before we end here, I've just realized what Andrew Yang's gig is. He's completely identified the Gen Z gamer vote. And he's promised them legalized weed and a way to pay for it, $1,000 a month. You don't even have to stop gaming. You can smoke weed in game if you vote for me. Is this not the gamer's president?
I don't have the quote in front of me right now. Andrew Yang wrote a book not too long ago. And in this book, he actually, let's see if I can pull the quote up really quick. I believe this is it. He in his book, he references something that honestly made me very, very, very much a fan of him. It's actually on the screen behind me right now. Essentially, Andrew Yang is a gamer, I guess. Easy way to put it.
That said, I still understand and appreciate video games on a visceral level. I even imagine that I could get into them again. Oh, the first president with a PlayStation
First
in
gamer
the Oval
president.
Office.
First gamer president. I'm telling you, it's gonna be hard to beat the first gamer president. Especially when
he's
he's
the gamer president.
Yeah,
he's a gamer, bro.
Yeah, he's got the gamer right and the anime right locked up. All he has to do. The problem is that, ironically enough, this Democrat is gonna win over former Trump voting gamers, anime fans, and internet people a year or two before he wins over actual Democrats. Because when he says, "Look, I want to increase funding to ICE because I'm giving people money and I don't want to go into the asylum seekers. I'm gonna reform the asylum system so you can't come over in caravans."
I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued. I want to hear more from Andrew Yang. Right now, I feel like he's shooting the moon. That either makes him super crazy or super cool. This is Problem Solver Politics.